BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all of your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing, and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs. And BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with all the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all of your sports wagering information. In between games, just head on over to the BetOnline Casino with all of the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. Hello, everyone. This is Solomon Wilcots for the Bleav in Bengal podcast. I'm coming to you today to talk about the Shemar Stewart contract holdout. This is one that is so very puzzling because this is something that's very unique to the Cincinnati Bengals. They have decided to put language in Shemar Stewart's contract that is not typically put in a rookie player's contract. The rookie contract for particularly first-round picks are really boilerplate. The way that they're structured is that they're contractually negotiated by and through the collective bargaining agreement. In other words, the union has already decided, okay, the top player is going to get X, second player, third, fourth, and fifth, and it's a sliding scale all the way down from the first player selected in the draft in the first round to the 32nd player. And most of these first-round picks, their contracts for the 4 years are really fully guaranteed. So it doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room to negotiate. That's why we say they're boilerplate. But right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are attempting to put something in Shemar Stewart's contract that they did not put in their previous first-round picks contract. In other words, in 2023, when they selected Myles Murphy, they did not put in a significant language that says, okay, that guaranteed money of your contract, you could void it if you do X, Y, or Z. We don't know what the contract says. We don't know what language the Bengals are putting in there that would void some of that guaranteed money. But we do know that they want to make some of the money in Shemar Stewart's contract that has been collectively bargained, that is deemed to be fully guaranteed salary for a first-round pick. They want to put in language that would make that guaranteed money null and void. Based on what? We don't know. We don't know what the language says, but they want to make some of that guaranteed money unguaranteed. And that's where Shemar Stewart is saying that he is 100% right, because he is. In fact, this language was not put in Amarius Mims' contract 1 year ago. He was also a Bengals first-round pick just one season ago. So I'm going to read some information to you just to let you know what typically happens for first-round picks, for players who are selected in the first round. This says the first round picks typically receive a 4-year contract with a 5th-year club option. We already know the team has the option to pick up the 5th year on a rookie contract, but the contract is really for 4 years. Now, it goes on to say their base salary for the first round picks for those 4 years are fully guaranteed, nonstop, okay? Many who have signed their rookie deals, the specific details of the guaranteed portion of those contracts are not universally publicized. And they say, here's the breakdown. First round picks receive the standard 4-year contract with a 5th-year option. This means their base salary for the first 4 years, again, are fully guaranteed. Rookie contracts are fixed and unalterable. That's because the NFL's collective bargaining agreement outlines the terms of these contracts, which cannot be renegotiated or amended before the player's 3rd season. In other words, say like Joe Burrow played the first 3 years on the 4-year contract. He was able, after the 3rd year, he was able to negotiate a contract extension. So once a player gets beyond the 3rd year on the 4-year deal, he can begin to negotiate for a longer term contract. T. Higgins was able to negotiate, but the Bengals would not sign him to a new deal, right? Jamar Chase, after his 3rd year, he wanted to negotiate. They wouldn't sign him to a new deal. So that's what they're saying. Signing bonuses are typically part of the initial guaranteed amount. While the base salary is guaranteed, significant portions of the signing bonus are also part of the total guaranteed contract. So when Shemar Stewart said that he is 100% correct, he's right. He is 100% right. And no one would advise their client or say a family member, say if it was your son who was a first round pick, you would not advise him to sign a contract that takes guaranteed money and then puts a clause in there and says, we're going to void the guaranteed money if you do this or if that. The money's already guaranteed in the contract by the collective bargaining agreement. The Bengals are the only team that wants to add a clause in to take away some of the guaranteed money. And oh, by the way, it's the first time they will have done this with a first round pick. The reason why you would do it with a first round pick is because, again, the first round pick is the only player who is inherently, just by being drafted in the first round, their contracts are fully guaranteed. This was done to eliminate contract holdouts by rookies. This was done because the collective bargaining agreement, the players union and the league wanted to end these rookie holdouts. So you know what they said? We were going to bring down their salaries. No longer will you see a rookie getting paid more than veterans on the team, like it did in the old days back when I played. They brought the rookie wage scale way down. First round picks don't make nearly as much money as they used to. For instance, you can go back to 2010, the $50 million contract for Sam Bradford, who was the first overall pick that year. He got $50 million in his rookie contract. He was making more money than starting veteran quarterbacks who were already playing in the NFL. And so the league got together with the union and they agreed that rookies should not be making more than veterans. So they capped how much rookies could make. But what they also said that if it's a first round pick, since he's making a lower amount, we're going to make their contracts fully guaranteed, but only for the first round picks, not for the second, third, and fourth round picks and so forth and so on. Shemar Stewart, was drafted with the 17th overall pick. And now all these years later, the Bengals are wanting to add this clause in that would take money that's already guaranteed to the player and void the guaranteed clause. No player would ever sign that contract. I wouldn't advise any player to sign that contract. And I'm sure Shemar Stewart has been advised not to. If he did sign it, it would set a precedent moving forward. And the Bengals would expect all of their first round picks to do that. That it was not offered, or at least not that we know of, to the last two first round picks. Shemar Stewart has said that he's talked to other veteran players in the locker room and they agree with him because other first round picks, whether it's Dax Hill, whether it's Myles Murphy, whether it's Amarius Mims, whether it's Joe Burrow, they would never have signed such a contract. That's why Shemar Stewart finds himself in a holdout when he'd rather be practicing with his teammates. You know, he also commented on, of course, Trey Hendrickson, someone that he's in the defensive room with Trey Hendrickson. He admires the career that Trey Hendrickson has had, having more sacks than any player in pro football over the last 2 years. He said that practically, Trey Hendrickson is 99% right. He said, but because he's under contract, then that would probably make him 1% wrong. But 99% of his argument is correct. But then Shemar Stewart looked and he said, but my deal, because I have never signed a contract and I'm looking to sign the first one, and now they're sliding in this clause that they've never presented a player with this before. No player's ever signed a contract like this before in the history of the league. He says, I'm 100% right. And he would be correct. So I just think it's really fair for the fans, people who call themselves Bengals fans and football fans, to understand the nuance of what's happening here. Look, I just believe the Cincinnati Bengals can do better because I believe they are better. I believe they should work harder to create a cohesive locker room that makes players want to be there, that make players proud to wear Bengals stripes, where they know that they're playing for a team and an ownership group that cares about them as individuals, as people. The players are the product. And if you keep trying to cheapen the product or get the product at a cheaper price than everyone else, if you continue to try to do that, then Shemar Stewart is right when he said, you want to win arguments. You're more interested in winning arguments instead of games. That's what players are coming away with the impression after watching what has happened in the offseason every single year when it comes to these petty arguments over contracts, whether it's Jesse Bates, whether it's T. Higgins, whether it's Jamar Chase, or now Trey Hendrickson. I think it's clear you'll pay your quarterback. It's not clear whether or not you'll pay everyone else. It's not clear whether or not you put people over profit and where you're willing to have the team morale suffer at the expense of winning one more game to get into the playoffs, like what we saw of each of the last 2 years. One more win would get the Bengals into the playoffs. Joe Burrow's probably your league MVP if the team is in the playoffs 1 year ago. But because of low team morale, I was at that game week 1 against the New England Patriots where the team suffered morale. It really hurt the coaching staff. It hurt the team. And this could have been easily avoided by the Cincinnati Bengals. Signing Trey Hendrickson to a contract is easy. He has produced better than any other player at his position. It seems that the Bengals want to use different metrics. If they were to trade him, they would want equal compensation, which is multiple first-round picks, but that compensation doesn't mirror the compensation they're willing to pay him. So if you want compensation, if you were to trade him as if he's one of the top players, then you should be willing to pay him like he's one of the top players, regardless of his age. TJ Watt is 31 years old. Trey Hendrickson's 31 years of age. I get it. You don't have to sign him to a 5-year deal. Sign him to a 3-year deal. But to say that he's earned the right to be paid near the top of the market, maybe not the $40 million that Myles Garrett is getting, but certainly north of $30 million. $30 million a season is less than what the second and third highest paid players and fourth highest paid player at the defensive end position. So Trey is arguably good enough and has performed well enough to be paid in right around $35 million a year. TJ Watt, same thing, who also is holding out, and he's going to make $21 million this year. That's far more than the $15 to $17 million that Trey Hendrickson is set to earn. But both players deserve pay raises. Look, I'm not here to try to do the Cincinnati Bengals business for them. They know very well what's good. However, a lot of us have the same information. A lot of us are armed with the same details of these negotiations and the collective bargaining agreement that governs the parameters for what players should be paid based on their production, based on where they were drafted. If you didn't want to guarantee his full contract, you shouldn't have taken the player in the first round, because the first round pick gets a fully guaranteed contract. And now you want to slide in a language that takes that guaranteed money away. It's just not right. In fact, it's flat out wrong to expect a player to sign that contract. He's not going to sign it. No self-respecting player would sign it. No representatives is going to have their player sign it. This doesn't make the agent the bad guy. This doesn't make Shemar Stewart the bad guy. Right now in Cincinnati Bengals, you are the lone standout team that is asking a player to sign a contract with this language. It makes you the anomaly. It makes you the difference. And right now, your own players and players around the league who could potentially one day want to play for you, it makes them ask, is this a team we want to play for? It makes the players in the locker room say, can we win playing for this team who really wants to cut corners and take away money that has been fully guaranteed to the players in order to get us on the field? Players are asking questions about this team. Members of the media is asking questions about this team. Around the league, everyone. And it's questions we should not be having. This is a team that has talent to win a Super Bowl. They have great coaches that can win a Super Bowl. Let's give them everything they need to win, including a great peace of mind to take the field, wanting to play for the Bengals, wearing Bengals stripes and giving it everything they got. That's going to do it for this week's Bleav in Bengals podcast. Hit me up, all right? DM me, text me, call me, do whatever you want, because I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you for joining me, everyone.